What up, YouTube? Dave Medic 1. Alright. So what ended up happening, part 1, I showed you guys preparation. Getting the PVC tube, 3" in diameter, what I did, glued it up, this and that, or whatever. Showed you the materials, the acid that I purchased from Radio Shack, nail polish remover to clean and prep the blade, all that good stuff. I didn't coat the blade with a Sharpie marker to preserve the edge or anything like that, and that'll come into play here in a second. But this is exactly what the finish is now, as you can see on that blade. It is a gunship gray. Now, if you see my hands, how dirty they are, I just went inside and cleaned it off with a regular dish, like a dish sponge, and tore that dish sponge up. My wife is going to kill me, man. That thing is unusable. A lot of black residue from the blade, even rubbing this off of here. I went ahead and wiped this down with the nail polish remover, non-acetone remover on that, got a bunch of it off. And I went ahead and wiped it down with WD-40. The WD-40 is dry now, and this is what you have in front of you. There you go. Pretty impressed. As far as how even the acid affected this blade, as you can see, it did pretty good job. There is a little unevenness right here. Kind of like it kind of swoops up, back down, up, just at the very edge of the blade to right about here. But the funny thing about it is if you flip it around, it mirrors it on the other side. So, not a big deal for me. This blade, it did cut paper a second ago, but I ran it probably 3 times each side on my stropping belt on my 1x30. So, probably equivalent to about 5 minutes of stropping. I have a sheet of paper in front of you right here, as you can see. As I fail here in front of you. Well, anyway. So, it is pretty freaking sharp. Just because I just was slight, that was kind of a ragged piece of paper. I want to show you. Because cutting through paper, you know, is kind of like, everybody's, you know, what a normal guy would think is sharp doesn't necessarily have to cut through paper. But us knife guys like to do it better than that. As I fail again, look at this. So as you can see, it probably needs a little bit more stropping through there. But I swear to God, I had it slicing through this like butter. Here. See that? See that? That cut right through like no problem. It is. See there? So it is pretty darn sharp. I could probably put about another 4 to 5 passes each side through by my 1x30, and this thing will be razor effing sharp. So all in all, my the acid treatment to this blade was right where I thought it would do. It's just kind of, I would have wanted this blade to be a little darker. Yeah, sure, but this is plenty dark enough. I mean, it's pretty darn dark. As far as having to, I didn't really have to put a Sharpie or anything on the edge to keep the edge from keeping its sharpness. So that wasn't really a big issue for me. I mean, if you don't have a belt, like a 1x30 belt, leather belt strap, you're going to spend about 5 to 8 minutes stropping this to get it back, to get your edge back to where it needs to be. It still will be pretty darn sharp, but if you want that super sharpness, you'll probably have to run a strop through it, or run it through your sharp maker, or whatever you use for a sharpening system on your lightest grit whatsoever. It's only going to need a touch-up, like a kiss, with the, you know, with your whatever 1200 grit or a fine diamond diamond stone to get it back. So all that being said, I have to thank Gavco and his channel and all his tutorials, because I pretty much I watched this tutorial about 2 weeks ago. I didn't even bother watching it again before starting this. I was so anxious to do this that I was like, screw it, and then through the middle of the thing, I was like, maybe I should have watched it again just to make sure maybe I missed a detail or something. But pretty much, I didn't, and basically, everything that you've seen in the last 2 videos, from start to finish on this etching, I haven't there's nothing that I've done that I haven't told you guys about, so that's pretty much it. A 50-50 mixture of acid to water will get your blade this dark in about 45 minutes, pretty much. As far as if you're concerned about how much metal you will be taking off of there, it's not going to be even to put it to you this way. Like I said, when I did this edge, I put it to about 200. I can tell you right now what I did. I went ahead and had it to the hell side. All right, I had this the edge on this done to 120 grit, and then I went and I have a Scotch-Brite wheel. I'll even show you that. This is a worn out Scotch-Brite wheel for my mini grinder. It was about 2 inches in diameter, probably 3 inches in diameter, Scotch-Brite type of deal. And then after I went ahead and reprofiled this edge, and to eliminate a lot of the grind marks, what I initially used to take the finish that this had on it off was the Scotch-Brite. So I did to 120. Of course, I went through, I had 80 grit and went through all the heavy grits in order to get the majority of this metal off here. Just keep in mind, this is quarter-inch flat stock steel here. So, in order to reprofile this to be an effective cutting tool, I had to take quite a bit. I had to narrow up the profile, probably about a rough, just under an inch. I had to take a lot of metal off here and taper it up. That way the profile, instead of being like this, is now probably like this, which will eliminate a lot of the friction and be more effective as far as a chopping tool. So I had to do that because that was one of the biggest downfalls of this knife. It was a big fat edge. It pretty much relied on the sheer girth and weight of this blade to make it through to cut stuff. It wasn't the edge doing the work, it was the weight behind it that was doing the work, and that's not really good. If you can have the weight behind it and have a really optimize the edge on this, it'll perform a lot more, and that's where I wanted to get it. I did a chop test initially with it and wasn't too impressed. I convexed the edge, chopped a little bit more, it improved it. Now that I've reprofiled it even more, took metal up to about 3/4 of an inch or so, took a lot of metal up. It still has a convex edge on it, and went ahead and did that. I imagine that this will be far superior than what you would initially get it out the box. It was already superior when all I did was convex it. It cut a lot better, but now that I've taken quite a bit of metal off of there and kind of made it more of a streamlined profile to be able to get in and cut and work effectively, then it'll be able to utilize a lot more of the weight behind this. Now this thing weighs about 2 pounds or so. This is a heavy chopping device. Not something that you would usually put in a backpack to take with you. It's a lot of weight. When you're hiking, it's like, 2 pounds is not nothing. But if you've got 32 ounces in a water bladder in your pack, you've got your compass, all your other stuff, maybe temporary shelter type material, change of clothes, other knives, emergency stuff, first aid kit, whatever, rope, whatever you need in the case of emergency, and it all adds up. This 2 pounds will make a big difference. Maybe not on a 2-mile hike, but if you're lost somewhere and you've got 10 miles, if you're hiking around for 10 miles, that 2 pounds, it might as well be like 20 pounds, it's going to be a lot of weight. So, this is kind of, not the tool for that. So, but, like I said, I'm trying to, with this knife, it's pretty much trying to make the best out of it. It's a Gil Hibben, the Gil Hibben 4. It was a replica knife from the Rambo movie, and basically, it was just big and atrocious. It was cool in the movie. yeah, you know, he was chopping people in half and stuff, but as far as it being practical, it's far from it. Even though the modifications that I've done to it have improved the performance of this knife, of this chopper, it's still not, it's still, you know, there's other stuff that you can get that's lighter weight that will perform the same. It's just making something that wasn't so great into something that'll at least work decent. So I'm hoping that with the reprofile of this edge, taking all that metal off, reprofiling the handle. Now the handle was atrocious. This handle was 1.5 inches and was wrapped with leather. It was just completely uncomfortable. And unless you had fingers, you know, unless you had like, you know, your pointer finger was 4.5 inches, you couldn't grip around that knife. It was just incredibly uncomfortable. And wielding 2 pounds, swinging it to chop, you wouldn't last any more than 10 minutes with it because it would just be so unbearable to your hand. So redesigning this handle was a must, along with the reprofile. So I'm hoping that this once I get, now that I've got the edge taken care of, the handle reprofiled, that was the 2 major tasks. Acid dipping, acid treatment to the blade. Not only the main goal with that was probably aesthetics as far as darkening, because I took the dark finish off of this already when I went to reprofile the edge, because it looked completely dumb with the grind lines going up here and the finish being so dark at the top. It looked like socks on a rooster. It just was atrocious. So I took all the finish off now so I darkened it back up again to make it more aesthetically pleasing. But on top of that, because this is 1095, the acid, from what I understand, the acid treatment will help as far as preventing rust and corrosion resistance. So there's an added plus to that. On top of that, reshaping the handle. This handle now, you know, at this point it's 1 inch. It goes to 1.25 inches. I'm planning on doing 1/4 inch scales on this, so we're looking at 3/4 of an inch thickness here. It's going to go from here to here. The choil up on the top, there's 2 different areas to hold this knife. You can hold it back here. That way you can utilize the full weight and the length of this for hard chopping. And you can do more intricate chopping here if needed be. Because like I said, 2 pounds is not the ideal knife to do intricate chopping. But now this, with the handle reprofile, should optimize tasks like wood processing and stuff like that. So it's pretty much trying to make something good out of a bad situation, being the original knife. So with some G10 scales on here, contoured along with the handle. I don't know if I'm going to go with peel ply or if I'm going to do some kind of a design on it or whatsoever. I am going to, if I do a design, I'm going to try to do it where it kind of follows the choil or these finger grooves there, so it's really ergonomic. I'm not really concerned about a fancy, you know, reptilian design or an Anzo design or anything like that. I really want this knife to be as comfortable as possible, because it being 2 pounds plus, aesthetics is secondary. It has to be about comfort. We're trying to take this big giant 2.5 pound leaf spring and make it into a functional tool that you'll be able to cut and process wood for longer than 15 minutes. You know, I'm trying to take, which is just, like I said, it's kind of like, you know, a $40 knife, putting this much work into it's kind of pointless in a lot of people's eyes, but to me it's kind of a learning experience, because doing this I'll be able to apply what I've learned through this learning experience to other projects in the future. So to me it's not a waste, and you know, I'll be happy when I get the scales on here and get the whole thing done. So far so good. I'm happy with the reprofile on the edge. Its cutting performance is really good so far. Like I said, it's you know, it's gonna need a couple more. It's gonna need about another minute or so, if that, on the 1x30 to get the edge optimal. But for now, it's, well, like I said, it's just, it needs another minute or so. It's still kind of, but you know, like if I take this like this and run it through here, I'm just not pushing down, using the weight of the knife to here show you better. Here, I got 2 fingers holding this knife like so, and just the sheer weight of this knife running across the edge, as you can see. So it is more than sharp enough to do normal tasks. Maybe not sharp enough to whittle hair. Actually, you know what? I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. My camera sucks. But there's hair on there. So, there you go. So, guys, like I said, sorry about the long video, but I wanted to have as much information on this possible, because I don't know if any of you guys are out there. Maybe I just hope that people will just step outside the box. Maybe if they're kind of scared about doing something like this or to customizing anything, that it's not really a big deal. There's information out here on YouTube. Like I said, I've obtained all this information as far as acid etching or the acid treatment from Gavco. I've seen the results many times over on Tough Thumb's channel. As far as sharpening and reprofiling, I got a lot of information off Gavco. I got the information as far as how important edge geometry is, and you know, why certain edges work at certain, you know, for certain things. I got that information from CKC Knives, or Kylie at CKC Knives. A very knowledgeable individual. Probably one of the most knowledgeable guys as far as understanding, you know, edge geometry and exactly why a convex edge is superior, what a hollow grind's for, how, you know, what a flat grind is, and this and that or whatever. Very knowledgeable. You know, I've watched plenty of his videos. He's got 20-30 minute you know, movie or videos explaining edge geometry and all this other stuff. Very valuable information, well worth the time. So between him, Gavco, Jeff, Tough Thumbs, of course, scale work, you know, all that stuff, it's out there. So don't be afraid to do this stuff, really. I'm just doing this to kind of fill in the blanks of maybe, you know, some of the stuff that maybe some of my video will provide a little bit of information that their videos probably looked over. But like I said, the majority, all this information I got to do this and to get this blade from it being just a regular factory knife that needed a whole bunch of work to where it is now, I found on YouTube, the YouTube knife community. So the information's out there. Did this video so you guys aren't scared to go ahead and tackle a project like this. You know, whether it's reprofiling an edge, you want to get into doing custom scales, the information's out there. It's not that hard, it just takes practice. Once you get the basics down, you just practice and you'll get it. You know, it's just out there. I mean, people, you know, it's not like they have a knife pimping school. It's not like they have a, you know, there's not too many people out there where you can go and learn how to reprofile an edge. So it's out there if you guys want to, and that's the purpose of this video, just to help you guys out and let you know it ain't that hard, man. You just, if you want to do it, the information's out there. PM me if you have any questions. I'll try to do the best I can to answer them for you if you want to embark on a project similar to this or something else. If anything, if I don't know the information, I'm pretty sure I can point you in a direction where you will be able to obtain that information. So anyway, guys, sorry about the long video. Tutorial videos usually are long. Sorry about that. Thanks so much for the support. Appreciate it. Peace.